Hi everybody, welcome to this video. Hannah and I are doing moccasin making and teaching how to make moccasins for our PAR assignment. And in this video we're going to look at how to make a pattern for our moccasin that's going to fit our foot perfectly. And once we get everybody's pattern and dimensions, we'll be able to order the leather and move on with our process. So this video is just going to go through the steps on how to make our individual patterns for our moccasins. So first things first, you're going to want to get a big piece of paper. I personally find that using a paper bag does the job. And so what you're going to want to do is open up the paper bag into one large sheet of paper. So here I have my opened up paper bag. I've placed my foot on it, and I've also put weight on my foot because when you put weight on your foot, it kind of spreads out a little bit more so you can get the correct size measurement. So you're going to want to grab a pencil and you're going to trace along your foot. And when doing this, it's important to keep the pencil perpendicular to the ground. So I'm just going to do that really quickly. If you have a friend to help you out, it might make this a little bit easier. I don't have a friend right now. Here is the tracing of my foot. So if you look closely, because of the way my toes are shaped, you can see that there are some curves. And then when we look at my arch, it's a little more curved than I'd like. So what I did with the black marker was I just kind of smoothed out the pattern of my foot. So once you do that, we can get to cutting out this pattern. Okay, so now that I have my pattern for my foot, what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold the heel to the toe. So I'm going to fold it in half and fold the heel to the toe, just like this. So when I'm doing this, before I crease it, I want to make sure that the bottom crease of the paper is not diagonal, so it's even. So when we look at this crease that I'm making, it's not on a diagonal, say if I went like that. So we don't want it to look like this. We want it to look something like this, where the fold is kind of even at the bottom and it's not diagonal. So just to reiterate that point, I took my heel and I brought it all the way up to where my toe is, and I made a crease in such a way that the crease is even and not diagonal. So that is what I did, and I just indicated that with this dashed line over here. So what you're going to do now is you're going to take a marker and you're going to indicate on the ends where that crease fold is. And this is going to come in handy in our next step. So continuing with the theme of dots, the next step is to estimate where the middle of your heel is. And when you find that, you're going to want to put a dot there. So I'm going to estimate that the center point of my heel is right around here. So I'm just going to indicate that with another dot. So just like that. So now we have 3 dots. 1, 2, 3. So we have our pattern now with our center fold horizontally, and we have a dot where the center of our heel is. So what we're going to do now is we're going to hot dog fold out our pattern, and what we want to do is we want to line up these 2 dots. So when I do that, I fold it and I'm lining up these 2 dots so they're right on top of each other. And when I do that, I'm going to crease. I'm going to crease my paper. So I lined up my 2 dots and I creased my paper. And then you're going to open up your fold and you're going to see if that crease, so my crease is right over here, you're going to see if that crease lines up with the center of your heel. And if it doesn't, that's okay. You're just going to want to adjust the crease a little bit so that that center line lines up with the dot of the center of your heel. So right now my crease is a little off. I see that my crease is a little off. So I'm going to put it back together, and I'm going to finick with it a little bit so that now my crease is closer to the center of my heel dot that I have. And once I do that, I'm going to crease it again. So this is going to be my new crease, and as you can see, it's a little bit closer to the center of my heel, where before my crease was all the way over here, which is like half a centimeter away. So now it's a lot closer to the dot where my heel is. So I indicated that crease that I just made with this line. We finished making your foot tracing. So now we're going to be using this kind of as a template to help us make our toe pattern and our heel pattern. And those are the two patterns that we'll be using to actually make our moccasins. So for right now, you're going to grab your extra leftover paper from your paper bag, and we're going to start on the toe pattern. Okay, so you're going to take your foot tracing and you're going to place it onto your scrap piece of paper bag that's left over. You're going to take a marker or a pencil and again just trace your foot. It's also important that you indicate where the creases are. So I'm going to put a dot here and a dot here, a dot here, and a dot here, and that just indicates where our two creases are. Okay, now with our newly traced toe design, I'm going to just cut the heel out. So you kind of want to do something like this, but you want to stop before the midline. So I did not cut further than the midline, the mid horizontal line that we had. So these are your toes, this is your heel, and this is where the center line is. Maybe I'll draw that in. So this is where the center line is, and we didn't cut past that. So we just cut out the heel. Now again, like on our template, we want to identify where the vertical line is, or we called it the hot dog fold, so where that line is. So here I just drew it in with pencil, and I did that again by using the dots that we transferred onto our new toe pattern. So once I find that line again, we're going to crease it or fold it in half at that line. And you're going to notice that when you look at your heel, they don't quite line up, and that's okay because we're going to fix that. So again, it's likely that one side of your heel is wider than the other side. So to fix this, we are going to kind of draw a dashed line to even it out, and you want to do it somewhere in between the smaller side of the heel and the larger side of the heel. So I'm going to show you. And you want to do it in such a way that it's almost seamless. So it's almost like in the midpoint. So the reason why we're not just cutting it to even it out completely, because then our toe will be really pointed and we want it to be more round. So that's why we're using this dashed line over here. So I'm going to cut this out and I'll show you what it looks like. So I'm just cutting along that dashed line I just made. Okay, so when I open it up, we have a nice round shape that isn't too pointed at the top. And this is going to be the toe, or like the top part of our moccasin that's going to sit on the top of our foot. And after this, we're going to measure about 1 inch from the horizontal line, and we're going to cut straight down. So I used my thumb approximately to measure where 1 inch is. You can use a ruler. Everybody's thumb is a little bit different. But yeah, you generally want 1 inch underneath the horizontal crease line, and we are going to cut this out. So now we have this cut out and we have our toe. Okay, we are about halfway there. So now you have your toe pattern. This is going to be your toe pattern. And what you can do is write your name and the year on it so we can just keep track of all of our different pieces. And if you'd like, you can also write toe. So, toe pattern. Awesome. Let's now move on to our heel pattern. So if you're like me and didn't really average out where to be placing your foot when you're doing the cutting and the measuring, you might need to get another paper bag, which I have here. So you want to get another big piece of paper, and we're going to move on to making our heel pattern. And you're going to need to use our original foot tracing that we had. So you need these two things to move on to our next step. On to make the heel pattern, we're going to take our original foot tracing that we made in the beginning, and we're going to put it on our piece of paper, and you want to put it in the center of your piece of paper and have at least about 1.5 inches around it, because we're going to be using that space to make this pattern. So we're going to want to trace it onto our piece of paper, and then again indicate these 4 dots. So the end of the midlines. After tracing on my foot tracing onto our new piece of paper, we're going to be doing some measurements and making out some markings. So this is the heel, and what we're going to do is we're going to take our thumb and mark a line that is a thumb length away from the heel, and we're just going to draw a straight perpendicular line to our drawing. We're going to do that similarly on the sides of our foot. So we're going to take 3 fingers, and we're going to take a marker, and we're going to mark 3 finger lengths away, and then draw a perpendicular line. Again, 3 finger lengths away and draw a perpendicular line. And then same thing on the bottom, 3 lengths away from the toe of your tracing, and then draw another line. Okay, so now we're going to be connecting all of the lines that we just made in a curved shape. So it's going to look something like this. And when we do that, there's a few things that you want to make sure you're not doing. So when we make our shape, it's going to look something like this. It's kind of like a half oval circle. And when you are making that curve at the top, you don't want it to be too pointy and you don't want it to be too square. You want to make it nice and round and almost like an oval. So you don't want it to be too square or too pointy. So I'm going to show you how I am going to be doing mine. What I've done here is I've made my curve, and you can see that I connected all of the little lines I made before. And after this horizontal center fold line, I kind of went off on an angle to kind of make a bell jar shape. Once you have that done, we're almost there. You're going to take your bell jar pattern and you're going to fold it along the vertical center line. So I just really quickly drew that line in, and I'm going to fold it along that vertical center line. So again, if you didn't draw that line in, you have the dots of your heel, the center of your heel, and where that dot would be at where your toe is. So you can use that to find where that crease is. And if you hold up your sheet of paper to the light, you can see where the 2 lines of your curve either match or they don't match. And if they don't match, again, that's okay. You are going to kind of want to find the middle of the 2 lines and cut there. So you're kind of averaging out the lines that you have just so that it's nice and even. So it's kind of hard to see. So you can see my line is over here on one side, but then my other line is around here on the other side. So I'm probably going to cut somewhere in the middle. So you can take a second and use a pencil to kind of determine where you're going to cut. So if you wanted to do this a little more precisely, you could go up against a window during the day and it would be easier to see the two different lines, and you can use the window to draw a dashed line where you're going to cut. But here, this is what I did. So I held it up to the light and I drew out the two lines of the two outlines. So these two curves is what I traced when I saw it in the light. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add dashed lines in the middle, and that's where I'm going to cut. So it's kind of hard to see, but here are my dashed lines, and I'm going to be cutting along these dashed lines to get my final heel pattern. Okay, so I cut it out, I unfold it, and there you have it. There is my completed heel pattern. So, again, you can write your name and the year, and maybe heel pattern if you'd like. So we have our heel pattern and your name, or my name, and we also have our toe pattern. So these are the two pieces that we'll need to make our moccasins. So this is the last part of our template making process, and we're just going to sit on the ground and kind of try out our template and determine if we need to make any adjustments to make it fit a little more snugly, or if we need to start over because it might be too tight. So let's try doing this while recording myself and trying to finick with the pattern pieces. Okay, so this is kind of an odd angle, but we're trying our best. So you're going to place your foot in the middle of the bell jar pattern, okay? And then you're going to place your toe pattern on top, and you're going to gather it around to see if it fits nicely or if it fits too tightly. So for me right now, the sides of my pattern fit really nicely, but I'm finding that the top of the heel pattern is a little bit too big, so I might cut it down on the edges over here. I just need to trim a little bit off of the top. So I just took a minute to trim the top of my heel pattern, and when I tried it back on, it fit a lot more snugly at the toes. And now I'm happy with the way my pattern fits my foot. So at the end of this video, hopefully you have your toe pattern and your heel pattern. Now I just want to take a moment to say congratulations. Now you have your template to make your very own pair of moccasins. Hannah and I will be having a Zoom call with you sometime this coming week, and on that Zoom call we can go through the procedure again if you'd like, and we can answer any questions or clarify anything if you have come into any problems. So I would really recommend trying to make at least one template first, and coming into the Zoom call with any questions if you have any, or if you want to just show off your fancy new templates, that'd be awesome. We'd really like to see that. And in addition to that, just one thing is to try making this template more than once. So the first time I made my template, it wasn't that great. It was a little bit rough, but the more you practice making this template, because you already know what to expect and what the folds are and where you need to put the center dots and all that good stuff, it'll get easier. Practice makes progress. So I really encourage you to try making this template more than once, at least twice, and until you are satisfied with the fit of the template around your foot. And once you have that, we can make moccasins.